I couldn't believe how much I was shaking. Jason, the captain of the basketball team and my crush, was getting his books out of this locker right next to me. How did I get so lucky he had been assigned to a locker so close? I couldn't let this opportunity pass me by. I've always felt like I'm in the background at school. I could sink into the wallpaper and no one would even notice. My best friend Cindy has said she doesn't mind being so low profile. But when it comes to talking to guys, it has always stopped me from getting what I wanted, and I wanted Jason to notice me. Little did I know, I was about to make that happen. Before I tell you how I did it, make sure you like and subscribe to Storytime Animated for more insane stories like mine. I was just about to say hello when Rebecca stepped in front of me, sipping a smoothie. She's the queen bee of our school, and, like a bee, she could sting you with every one of her words.
Nice scrunchie, Sam. I love how it matches your dress. They're both equally tacky.
I turned back to my locker, blushing so much I thought my head would explode. Jason looked uncomfortable. Rebecca turned to him quickly, whipping me in the face with her long brown hair.
Hi, Jason. I'll be at your game tonight. I hope you win.
Jason smiled.
Thanks, Rebecca. See you then.
He started down the hall as the bell rang. I went to follow him, but then I felt a cold, wet liquid slide down my back and all over my dress. I turned quickly to see Rebecca and her friends laughing. She had poured her smoothie down my back.
Sorry, Sam. I just thought the color of my smoothie would look better on you.
I ran home to change. My mom saw my tears and asked what was wrong, so I explained what had happened. I couldn't believe Rebecca would do that to me. I told her I was going to keep a low profile from now on, like Cindy. My mom got this sly look in her eyes. I do the same thing when I have an idea. We look similar, the same wild blonde hair, the same blue eyes, but she's way prettier. I always wanted to grow up to look just like her, but so far, it didn't look like that was bound to happen. She put her hand on my arm comfortingly.
Sweetheart, fading into the background will just let Rebecca win.
She went upstairs and came down with something glittering in her hands, a butterfly hair clip.
This belonged to your grandmother. She was a famous film actor for many years. She was beautiful, confident, and was never in the background of any scene. She would want you to have this.
I took the clip and put it in my hair. I did feel a little more confident. My mom smiled at me and said,
Use it wisely, okay?
Whatever that means. But when I got to school the next day, I couldn't believe the change. People were looking at me in the hallway in a way they never had before. They waved and smiled. This was crazy. I saw Jason at my locker and was going to say hi when Rebecca stepped in front of me. She looked so shocked. Her friends flocked around me and showered me with so many compliments.
Oh my God, I love your hair. Where did you get this dress? It's awesome. Can I borrow those shoes sometime, Sam?
Rebecca looked furious. Then she smiled and said,
Do you want to sit with us at lunch, Sam? You just have to tell me what you did with your hair.
Maybe she was coming around? At lunch, I went past Cindy and my table and headed to the back with Rebecca and her friends. They kept complimenting me and asking me questions. I'd never felt so popular. Rebecca just sat there quietly, smiling a little bit. Then she crushed my entire world.
Seriously, Sam? What did you do to your hair? I want to try it, now that I'm dating Jason.
I felt like the lunchroom fell out from beneath me. I couldn't believe he would date such a horrible person. I fell completely silent for the rest of lunch and didn't eat anything. After lunch, I went to the bathroom and ran into Cindy. Sometimes we hang out there to avoid the loud lunchroom and people like Rebecca. She looked at my hair too.
Wow, what'd you do? You look great.
I started crying. I think it's this hair clip my mom gave me, but it doesn't matter. Rebecca stole Jason and now I'm back in square one. Cindy blushed.
I don't mind being in square one. We always have been. Isn't that okay?
She totally didn't get it. That's how Rebecca wins. I huffed and left the bathroom. When I got home that night, I found my mom having tea with a beautiful woman with long brown hair and glasses. She told me this was my Aunt Lucille, who would be staying with us for a little bit.
It's so nice to meet you, Sam. Thank you for welcoming me into your home. Your mother and I have had our differences, but she's been so helpful. You see, I'm here to find my daughter. I gave her up for adoption when she was a baby, and I want to reconnect with her.
She kept staring at me with that sly look my mom has. She was totally weirding me out. I could barely do my homework just knowing she was in the house. When I woke up the next day, the worst thing had happened. My hair clip was gone. I tore my room apart looking for it, but when I didn't find it, I knew exactly who had taken it. Cindy was the only person I had told about the hair clip. When I got to school, no one even recognized me. To make matters worse, I couldn't find Cindy. I saw a horde of girls huddled around someone, but I couldn't push my way through them to see who it was. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Rebecca and Jason at his locker. She went in for a kiss and he turned his head quickly. Maybe there was still hope, but not if I couldn't get my hair clip back. At debate practice, I finally found Cindy. She had the new hair clip on and looked amazing. I knew it. The teacher told me and Cindy to debate artificial intelligence in technology. If I couldn't get my hair clip back, I'd at least put her in her place. I went in front of the group for an opening statement. Artificial intelligence in technology is damaging because intelligence will include human traits. Humans have many negative traits such as deception, I looked right at Cindy when I said it, and betrayal. These human qualities will prevent the technology from doing its assigned tasks, and therefore, it will become useless.
Well, maybe some people are just scared the technology will become better than them, and they need to be taken down a notch.
Cindy stood up from her desk, her face red. The entire class erupted in applause. My statement was so much better, but she was so confident right now. I couldn't take it anymore. You stole my hair clip, give it back. Cindy's face went white and she stomped her foot.
I did not steal it. My birth mom gave it to me. She just came into town and said I deserved it. You're just jealous because you aren't popular anymore.
Cindy tossed her long brown hair to turn to the class.
In conclusion, artificial intelligence is good for humanity because of its many applications. For example, artificially giving a person like my opponent some intelligence.
The class burst into laughter and I ran home. When I arrived, Lucille was leaving. My mom was in the doorway with her arms crossed, looking angrier than I had ever seen her. When I passed Lucille, she smiled.
It was so nice to meet you, Sam. My daughter Cindy says you've had such a wonderful few days at school. Maybe if you keep it up, you can become as successful as her someday.
My mom totally yelled at her right there on the front lawn and Lucille left as fast as she could. It was hard to believe they were sisters. Inside, my mom explained that my grandmother had given the hair clip to my mom, but Lucille was jealous. She stole it and used it to take away my dad. My mom managed to steal it back, but the damage was done. My mom was clearly trying not to cry, so I hugged her. I was really proud she was willing to stand up to someone like that. I felt like maybe I should do the same. At school, Cindy had become a total nightmare. She even started pushing Rebecca around, but the icing on the cake was, she started dating Jason. She had totally tricked him. She looked so different, she convinced him she was a new student. He had broken up with Rebecca a while ago, but she was still clearly upset about it. So upset, we even started hanging out in the bathroom together to get away from Cindy. I told her all about the hair clip and my grandma. She listened closely, then smiled a bit.
Sam, I have a plan, but we need Jason's help. We have to tell him who Cindy really is.
I was nervous to break this news to him. He'd be really upset. Rebecca smiled even wider.
I don't think he'll be that upset. In fact, I think you should be the one to tell him.
I didn't know why she was being so secretive, but hair clip or no, I had to tell him. When I ran into Jason at our lockers, I finally got the courage. I told him Cindy was a liar and had just used Rebecca and me to get to him. He actually smiled and looked a little sad. Then he told me he had sort of known. He really couldn't stand how she had been treating everyone, and he would do everything he could to help. The next day, Rebecca and I watched from around the corner while Cindy and her posse went to Jason's locker. She pecked him on the cheek and giggled.
Where's Sam? I was looking forward to presenting her with the Worst Split Ends award this morning.
Jason frowned, then replaced it quickly with a smile.
It's no fair with you around, babe. Your hair is gorgeous.
But when he ran his hand through her hair, he pulled the clip right out. Cindy's hair rocketed out from her head like she had put her finger in a light socket. Everyone gasped. Jason threw the clip in his locker and slammed the door. Leaning against it, he said,
I don't want to see you anymore, Cindy. I think you're mean, and honestly, I've always liked Sam. I thought you were like her, but it turns out you couldn't be more different.
Cindy ran right past us as she left school. She gave me the dirtiest look, but I didn't care. She deserved it. When I turned, Jason was right in front of me, smiling.
I meant what I said. I've always liked you. I just couldn't find the courage to talk to you.
I blushed, then had a crazy thought. Hey Jason, when I first got the hair clip, did you notice anything different about me? He frowned and shook his head.
Not at all.
I kissed him. That night, my mom and I put the hair clip back in the attic. I definitely didn't need it anymore.